Let's get right into it, boys. We have Unicorn Overlord, which is a successor, in my eyes, to Ogre Battle 64, which was an awesome game. I loved playing that game. I never got very far in it. I didn't really get it as a kid. I loved the music and the story, and I enjoyed the game, but I was just terrible at it, and I feel like I died a lot. But it was a game that I rented a lot from the video store because I didn't have that many N64 games. I didn't really have an N64 for very long in my life. I was mainly a PlayStation guy, as I'm sure many of you are if you're into RPGs, because back then that was the place to be. But this game looks awesome. So we're going to take a look at the trailer together. We'll compare it to, you know, this old Ogre Battle footage, which I'm sure I'll put up on the screen at some point here, and get kind of hyped up for this, which is coming out in March 8th, 2024, by the way. So this game already looks sick from all of the art that we have here. And now if you're not a stranger to Vanillaware games, then you're already going to know that they put out some really good looking stuff. And so we have tons of story in this trailer, really interesting kind of kingdom is broken down, needs to be rebuilt by a young prince. I mean, not exactly groundbreaking stuff, but now here, this is where we see the comparison to those Ogre Battle days where you're just traversing over a big map, you're moving multiple units, and once you encounter an enemy, you are fighting down in kind of more of an isometric, although this is actually more side scrolling, but the down in the bottom right corner, you'll see that little isometric grid, which is totally a callback to Ogre Battle. And by the way, Atlas was the one that actually localized Ogre Battle from what was it, Quest Corporation or whoever did it for N64. So we're kind of involved in it. Vanillaware wasn't, as far as I know, but there's people coming from those games and from those companies that are obviously involved in this to make it look so good. So let's take a look at some of the stills here and compare and think about kind of what's going on here. So this is an example of an offline battle. Maybe just we're going into, you know, a free battle. Maybe it's not campaign. I don't know exactly here, but you can see that it's just like Ogre Battle, where you would set up your units on your little grids and then they will fight however they fight once they actually get into the battle. Although I'm sure there's going to be much more depth to it than there was in Ogre Battle. And the way that you can line up your guys will really determine whether or not you're going to be able to win. It's going to be super important. And I actually really like that style of gameplay. Some people want more hands-on. I like to kind of set things up and see what happens. I want to test things out, theory craft, and then see the results of my testing. Maybe that's because I used to play War of the Visions, and maybe that's why I liked War of the Visions so much, because it was very similar in terms of you set something up, but then you don't actually play the game. But in this case, there's going to be a lot more input than a gacha game, because you're moving all over a map and deciding where to go, what strategies to use, you know, areas to take. And when we look at the other parts, we can see that there's things like cooking, and I'm sure that's going to be important, crafting, some mining, some resource gathering. So there's just going to be a ton of stuff in this game that you're actually able to do. So aside from the trailer that we have, we also have a website that we can actually check out here. So they don't have like a ton of information right now, but basically they're kind of hyping themselves up here and just saying that they are reviving the RPG tactical genre with all this overworld exploration and battle system that we would have seen in this old, you know, these older games. So here is a great little shot of what would probably be like an elven kingdom. We can see there's people that you can actually talk to, because it's not just Ogre Battle where you're on a map and then you're between missions and you talk and then you go back onto a map and you're only fighting. You actually traverse the maps like you would in Overworld in an RPG. And so then you can go talk to people, you can go into towns, you can go and you know, do your gathering and your crafting and stuff. This story looks really good. I mean, whenever you see this kind of like parchment text boxes, it makes me think Final Fantasy Tactics. It makes me think Tactics Ogre, and I love that too. The backgrounds are so vivid. I mean, just looking at all the detail here, and I absolutely love the style that Vanillaware brings to all of their games. Every individual character has so much detail on them. I mean, this person on the right here, Gilbert, you know, kind of giving me Ramza vibes, except for, you know, a little bit angrier face, but you know, the rapier and the hairstyle and stuff, you know, and the cape, of course. of course, the cape. So we see here a little bit of a battle map, and starts off in a castle town, or we're attacking the castle town, actually. I should mention here, but we can see that there's a specific time limit for this map. There's something called valor points in the top there, and that there's even terrain that has to be kept in mind, so we can see road, and there's certain like movement indicators in the top right. So basically how you approach something is probably going to play into it, like maybe where you fight might give you advantages, or maybe you'll just move slower in certain areas. So you have to account for that. If you're not going to take the main roads to attack a base, then you're going to have to suffer some consequences, or maybe bring specific units to be able to traverse or excel on those areas. Okay, so here's the pre-order area. Beautiful map on the back there, by the way. We have a bunch of different biomes there. There's mountain, there's forest, there's desert, you name it, Arctic, etc. But what we have here is there's the digital version, and we have Switch, Xbox, and PS4, PS5. Very pleased to see this is also coming out on PS4 and not just PS5, but we don't see a PC version here yet. Hopefully that does actually get added on, because I would very much like to play this on my Steam Deck. If we look at the physical version, there's a collector's edition that gets you an art book, it gets you the OST, it gives you some logos for the game, and then the card game, which is like 239 cards, 2 to 4 players, playtime 30 to 120 minutes, as well as this cool outer box as well. So I don't always get collector's editions. The art book is usually a really good sell for me, and the fact that it's a Vanillaware art book seems really awesome. But what's actually catching my eye here, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's the card game. I am such a sucker for card games, so I absolutely want to see what's going on here, because we can see in the bottom, like you can't really see it that well, but we can see there's like a mana cost there, there's card types in the top right, and then text. Like it looks like it's a Magic the Gathering type card game, although I'm sure they're not actually building it out that far. But either way, I'm pretty sure that this is I'm definitely going to consider the collector's edition for this one. I'm going to have to. The question is, what do I buy it for? Probably the Switch, just because then I can share it with my brother. But I don't know. I mean, I just want all these goodies here. So I guess at this point, we're just waiting for more trailers, more news, maybe some coverage of this. The website, when you click on features, it really doesn't show you very much. So I'm sure that they are slowly going to roll out more information about this game. But as it is right now, I am incredibly hyped for it. It's definitely right up my alley, and it's the type of game that I want to see being made and developed. So that means that I have to support it, of course, because I want to see more of these types of games made. So let me know what you guys think, if you're pumped for this, if you're as pumped as I am, and if you played Ogre Battle on the N64, what did you think? Did you get into it, and did you have a little bit easier time than I did?